Alright guys, here's the Bimini Blue Notch out in the wild, just doing some final little test drives, making sure the brakes and parking brake and all of that thing work. I just have the radio to wire up and the power locks. Stance is on point, got the race lamps dialed in, and the Woolwoods are doing their job at stopping the car. The car is obnoxiously loud with the muffler delete. What's up guys, welcome back to the infamous project. A lot of you guys have probably been wondering, well, what's the progress or what was the end result with the Bimini or who Bimini Notch here sitting behind me? Well, the car is finally done as it's gonna get for now. It's a little bit louder than it was before, looks a little bit different than it did before. So in this episode we're gonna go over all of the mini disasters that we needed to address on this car to get it right for, well, what is its new owner that picked it up and pretty much just handed us the keys, and we went from there. And I've got more in-depth info from the representatives who sold the car on Bring a Trailer as well. So stick around, you're not going to want to miss this episode and hear everything that's been updated and fixed on this Bimini Blue Notchback. Alright guys, this is sort of going to be a test of my brain that sometimes I feel isn't working as good as it used to. But with that said, I'm going to try and remember everything that I filmed and I documented and everything that we fixed on the car. And I'm sure I'm going to forget some stuff. So we're going to compartmentalize this with exterior, underside, interior, engine bay, all of those things. But before we get into it, I do want to say that the owner of Bullet Motorsports personally reached out to me after I posted the last video. Although I did not mention their name in the video, well, it's not rocket science to check the Bring a Trailer auction and see who sold the car. So the owner reaches out and was like, listen man, completely understand where you're coming from with the video and you know the end result of the car. The car did have a reserve of $16,000 on it. Just the bidding happened to go above and beyond that, and I think $16,000 for the car would have been like retail value in reality. But his concern was that people just started leaving negative reviews and feedback on his Google reviews and whatever, and that was not the purpose, because ultimately, yes, they're a dealer, yes, they go over cars at a very high level, but at the same time they got to take the person that they're representing, they got to take their word for what it's worth. Now, to my understanding, this car was built by a father and his son, and something happened and it resulted in needing to sell the car. So the story, a little bit sad, a little bit circumstantial, but it validated that this was in fact like somebody's little backyard garage hobbyist build, and maybe wasn't the most perfect thing. Aside from visually, because like even right now, look at this car, look at how beautiful it looks, especially on camera. Like I'm looking at it right now and I love the car because it looks so good, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't a lot wrong with it. So let's actually just go over how nice this car looks real quick. Let's start with the positive before we start going into the negatives, because guys, this isn't all negative. So here it is. Now there's things that we fixed and managed to correct with the exterior. Some panel alignment, things were a little too close up here and I had to do some touch-up paint. The whole wiper assembly was wobbling because you can see the dip here. The hood flew up on this car at some point and the cowl repair here was not the greatest, unfortunately. So we made things work. We actually put a bolt that's hiding right there and sandwiched the plate that holds the wiper motor assembly, so that way we have functioning wipers now, and that's been all taken care of. Everything else was pretty straightforward, except for, if you guys remember, we had rotted holes that were happening back here, and I believe I have video and showed you guys we did rust repair underneath there. And because the paint honestly is really nice on this car, we didn't want to do work that would result in possibly damaging the paint, i.e. we couldn't weld underneath here because it would have bubbled and caused issues on the exterior outside here. So we've cut out pretty much as we could at this point, and going to use Eastwood's Rust Encapsulation Plus in matte black. So we'll squirt as much as we can up in there, let that cure up, and then we'll get a patch. I might have to get a little creative here, and we'll just kind of JB weld or glue or whatever it is, something over that, just to keep stuff from getting up in there. But this is pretty much all you can do to save the paint.
We wound up spraying some rust converter up in here. It's kind of dark, but yeah, there were more putty spots where someone had attempted to do body work on here, way up in there. So we just wanted to make sure that those were covered, that we didn't have to worry about that in the future. And the other thing that was done, speaking of rust, was fixing the holes under the quarter taillights in the back. You'll see there's not holes there anymore. Not only that, but we managed to paint match that. I think we actually used like some GM paint was the closest we could find to this color, but it worked out pretty dang well. And I bet until I point out the spots, you guys can't even see really where they were, because there were more than you've been told before. So one of those was actually up there in that top right corner on the trunk, and we were able to kind of blend that out and make that look pretty decent. It's small stuff, right? We know these little spots will be hidden up under the tail lights, but sometimes the small stuff is what matters most, because if there's 35 tiny little things that are, you know, wrong with a car, well, that adds up, right?
Added a fiddle fart antenna delete, and obviously the wiper delete caps there, but everything else, from the paint and body on the outside, the trim was all restored. Whoever painted the car, right? We got the Daniel Carpenter quarter window replacement moldings there, and they all look the part and do the thing. The door molding was starting to peel off a little bit. We got them stuck back on accordingly. So one thing that just is probably the first thing that grabs your eye and suits this car so beautifully are these custom made 18-inch staggered Victory custom wheels. Those turned out phenomenal. We got all the right measurements and specs and managed to make them fit 100% with this car. And I'll be talking about the wheels a little bit later in this video. So that's pretty much the outside. Nothing too crazy, nothing too scary. Let's go to the scary stuff, or some of the bad stuff. Got some footage that I took yesterday of the car up on the lift. You guys will see the brake upgrade, because this car had drum brakes before, and was a 4-bolt car. So now it's 5-bolt 4-wheel disc, utilizing the factory 4-bolt spindles in the front. So you guys will see all that firsthand. Let's go check out that footage. First things first, the car now has a gas tank cover. If you guys remember, it was an exposed gas tank that was, I don't know, it wasn't like rotted or anything, but it wasn't a coated tank, so it didn't look very good. And we also had a multitude of holes in the spare tire well and underneath the floor. So this ended up with some splatter spackle paint, because, well, there was nothing closer around after that whole trunk and spare tire well got welded in and replaced. So whatever, added a little bit of effect, if you will. Could just spray it black real quick. Love it or hate it, kind of your call, but you don't really see that area. What else did we do here? Brakes and suspension, we'll talk about that in a second. Fuel lines, that whole setup needed to get rerouted, reconfigured, and sorted out. Mufflers got taken off, That wasn't really a shortfall to the car, but the owner wanted the car louder, so Andrew welded in an X. And actually, was the X here?
Yes, it's already there.
The X was here.
We
so
just did the shiny part.
Just the shiny straights.
I think his muffler was rubbing here though, because there's scoring on the drive shaft where those Borlas were.
Yeah, it was sort of like as soon as you jack the car up, the pipes, like I think maybe over big bumps or something, just might have been touching. And you guys will see, right, there's some of the patching and rust repairs that were done. Now, I know that this isn't the most ideal thing that you guys want to see, but there are much better patches now welded in from the inside, and everything was coated from in there and then welded and then recoated and sealed, and then the underside we just kind of sprayed accordingly. And
the underside too, we did wind up sealing it on both sides.
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, just when you see these, you know what I mean, like, at the end of the day, guys, you got to do the type of work that matches the quality of the car. And
replace the whole floor
yeah,
pan.
you'd have to do the whole floor pan, or at least this whole section, and just not worth it. So you got to know when to call it quits, or I guess when enough is enough, and what is the best thing for your car without getting potentially financially upside down. All right, old Bimini Blue, how's it going?
Good, good. Getting these mats down. Then we can put the carpet in and start putting her back together. So
Nice.
got all the rust repaired.
So Andrew's working away here from the inside of this formerly red 4-cylinder conversion. So I think we've uncovered all the gremlins at this point.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we did like 8 or 9 patches, most of it, you know, in this general area here.
Yeah, so now we don't have moisture trapped underneath there the way they did before.
Yeah.
And in case you guys are wondering, I've noticed a good trick once you've done your kill mat or dynamat or Celeste or whatever it is, to use some of this foam stuff to get a couple strips on top of it, and that way your carpet won't slide all over the place. Kind of gives a little bit of I don't know, adhesive or something to stick to, some friction. There you go. So yeah, the inside of the car is actually going to be in a situation where carpet's going to be able to go back in. We're going to have to assess this rear seat panel. It's probably actually as functional as it needs to be. It's just kind of not the nicest, so maybe we'll actually put some of the foam backing on there. Looks like it was probably used for like a school play or something, and they like recovered some.
This is like their kids' art project.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, they recovered something.
It was baking soda volcano.
Yeah, so we'll pretty that up, and that'll allow us to start getting some of the essentials of the interior back in. Then we'll have to address stuff like, you can see there wasn't much for the climate controls to hang on to on this dash. There is some wiring to go through, and then of course you want a stereo upgrade and whatnot. So we'll tackle all those things. We'll get a couple strips of Celeste, kill mat, dynamat, whatever on the insides of the doors as well, just to keep rattles down. So in the front here, we cleaned up some of the powder coat stuff that was peeling, just kind of scuffed it down, painted it up, and made it look a little prettier. One thing that we did find out is this K-member is actually sitting further to the driver's side than the passenger side. We tried to loosen everything off and pry this thing over as far as we can. We got a little bit out of it, but not enough.
Tell them why. Tell them why.
Why?
They double drilled everything on that side, remember?
Yeah. So, yeah, a little bit of, I don't know what you would call it, but at the end of the day, this wheel actually sticks in further than that wheel does, and we're going to talk about the wheels in a second, because the wheels are actually an upgrade, as are these Woolwood brakes that are installed now, and that utilize the factory 4-bolt spindle. So you can see where the caliper arm was cut off here, and then the bracket assembly that holds everything on bolts into where the dust shield originally once was. So nice Woolwood brakes, front and rear. One thing to note is the kit did not come with emergency brake cables. So the Willwood recommended kit is $189 with the part number that they gave us. And you can get the exact same kit off Amazon for $35.
And then it's universal either way.
And it's universal. So you can see pretty much the same style of outfit here. And I'm actually going to see if we can get these up a little bit higher here. I don't want the drive shaft possibly rubbing where it actually looks like it has there a little bit. Which, yeah, once you get the aluminum drive shafts and you get this style of cable, guys, you see we tried to get creative reusing some stuff here to hold the cables up out of the way. But I think we'll put little clamps up here and get them definitely out of the way, as there's nothing worse than scoring up your nice aluminum drive shaft. So other than that, brand new coilovers. The sleeve setup that was in the front before was noisy and it clunked and it banged when you would like turn and go over bumps. So we went with Raceland's Primo kit, which has a really good drop. And guys, you might say, oh, Raceland's super cheap. Well, it's super cheap and comes with a lifetime warranty, even on the rear shock. So if you ever have a problem with the Raceland product, you just send it in and you're good to go for life. So you really cannot complain for the price, right? Under $1,000, actually much more under than $1,000. And good shocks with adjustability on the Primo kit. There's little dials on the top of the shocks up there that you can turn, similarly on the front struts on the top side where they meet the caster camber plates, where we did manage to reuse the caster camber plates that were on the car. So no issues there. And you can see got a brand new set of 18-inch Victory custom wheels that were made specifically for this car. So we did all the measuring, calculated all the offsets, and got everything the way that we wanted things to sit. Now, you guys might be wondering the wheel and tire spec. I am not going to share it with you because this car is a special car where what's on one side isn't the same as the other side. For instance, this rear quarter well is rolled. This one is not. And there's no way that I'm going to touch and try and roll this quarter wheel well at the mercy of paint could flake or chip off. And I'm already hesitant about, you know, the fragility of this car. So that's pretty much going to do it for the underside. Pretty scary stuff, right? If you guys saw the first video, right, there was a lot of things. Guys, this car just fought tooth and nail the whole way through, just in terms of just Mickey Mouse stuff. In fact, today I was just finishing up the stereo. So you would think when people do a stereo, they'll hack wiring, or when they build a car and they put it all together, wiring gets kind of maybe not the best, but it should work. Like, guys, there was stuff, they actually cut the wire that was going in the inner fender in the kick panel area here, and they cut the wire, and this speaker wasn't working, that speaker was, that one was, and then the door speaker over there was wired independently, like not off factory wiring with its own wires, and then everything was kind of like looped and everything behind the deck, and it was an absolute nightmare. But I got all the speakers working now. We got subwoofer in the trunk, upgraded the double din to some Nakamichi touchscreen unit there. The AC wasn't working. They said you had to manually actuate the door, and that's all fixed up. Man, you make a lot of racket. All right, the impact gun's down now, so yeah, Andrew making a whole bunch of noise with a beautiful GT convertible up on the lift there. That'll have its own video, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so the AC, they hooked everything up when the cable, the mechanism behind this guy that does your temp control, that was snapped off and broken. You saw that this was held in with one screw, the climate control unit itself. The cluster, I believe, had no screws holding it down once I got the bezel off. Broken clips, the dash was cracked, so I did the best repair that I could to minimize the looks and effect of that. LED bulb conversion in the cluster, in the climate controls. What else did we do? The turn signals didn't work. So I had to go through the wiring and got the turn signals working, hazards work. What else? Got rid of the stupid donkey dick shifter, Hurst pistol grip, whatever that was in here. So now that is gone. Looks a million times better. We cleaned up a lot of things were dyed in this car. The armrests and everything else would have been a smoke gray interior car most likely. And so we got all the black cleaned up and all that behind the seat, which kind of holds the control pack and ECM stuff for the motor. That's all on the back side here. That all got cleaned up. A lot of wiring in the trunk, which I'm going to open that up right now and show you guys. So the trunk, as you guys know, is a disaster. Not only was it rotted out from the spare tire well through in multiple places, there was wiring everywhere. Just very messy behind there. We cleaned all that wiring up, and interestingly enough, all of this lovely trunk, what would you call this? Beauty panels, if you will. This all came out of my yellow Dutch notch. This was the stuff that came in the car before K Designs redid my whole trunk with my new audio setup. So kind of just repurposed some stuff I had, and I think it made everything turn out great. New terminals for the Optima, and ran a proper ground, because the ground that they ran was definitely subpar. And there was a little bit of corrosion on the underside of the trunk lid here, so we got stuff cleaned up and blown in with actually a GM color, duplicolor GM color, and came out great. So you can see, right, all of where they tried to do repair stuff and seam sealer stuff before. So, you know what I mean? Like I said, we got rid of all the corrosion in the holes from the underside, treated it from inside the car, treated it from underneath the taillight housing here, rust converter, ground everything out, and painted, cleaned, and hopefully this car will get some good life out of it yet. Right, so the interior and everything, especially the trunk, came out really, really nice. Stereo sounds good, does all the things that it should. AC is blowing ice cold now without having to manually, you know, do temperature select or anything like that. And here's underneath the hood. Got a little bit of footage of that as well. So we'll pop over and show you guys that. And we'll pretty much be in wrap-up mode for the Bimini Notch. All right, hopefully the final torque down on the wheels. We'll check out the engine bay here. Not much has changed other than the fact the O-ring for the orb fitting on the fuel pressure regulator's return line, that started pissing fuel literally everywhere about a week ago. So we got that changed over and no more fuel leak, which is always nice. And brakes are bled, so all that's good. We topped off the reservoir there, so shouldn't have any issues in terms of the braking now. As you guys remember, it was drums in the rear still before, and not much brakes for the Cobra motor here. So did add a couple little fiddle fart items that I had laying around right before I found all my own Amazon finds, and I figured the billet stuff looked pretty good, so threw that there, threw the radiator hold downs on, did a antenna delete plate, and the wiper caps. So a couple fiddle fart items, and just a few little things to clean the car up, make it look a little bit better, especially when it's laying around the shop. Sometimes you just do those things. I didn't even tell the customer whether he notices or not. Will be up to him. Also just realized this car does not have an overflow bottle of sorts, but I guess it manages to stay cool with the setup it has. It is what it is. So there you guys have it. I got a little bit of footage down the road as well, but it was really windy the other day, and I just kind of wasn't in the vibe of speaking in front of the camera. I'm getting over a cold as well, so sound maybe a little bit congested. But that's the scoop on the Bimini coupe, and I'm happy and excited for it to get to its owner and for him to finally enjoy the car. It's substantially louder now. He's a guy that likes loud. Can't say I'm a big fan of the sound. But that's just me and modular motors in general. Like, I don't even like the sound of my Lightning. I like the sound the blower makes, but Lightning's never really made really good exhaust sounds either. So that is it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this follow-up on the car. Interested to hear your feedback and opinions and everything else. This car has definitely gone through a mini transformation, and a pretty good one, where I think as a driver car, this car will be really good. We got, you know, an updated drivetrain, everything is smooth, got cold AC, got the amenities inside, and it does all the right things. It looks good. The stance is absolutely nailed with those Raceland coilovers, and these Victory custom wheels. You can't go wrong. So as always, thank you for support, thank you for following the channel, and we'll see you guys here next time on the Infamous Project.